Hey everybody, welcome to episode 66 of It's Just Bodybuilding. My friend Dusty Hanshaw, myself, Big Ron Partlow, are going to take all your Instagram questions right here on It's Just Bodybuilding. Ba-ba-ba! Hey everybody, how you doing, Dusty? What's up?
Living the dream. Just finished meal 3, so I'm not going to be freaking out about needing to get off the damn show to eat. So we're good.
Have any blood sugar issues today? Hopefully not.
Exactly.
Remember everybody to like, share, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell.
Ding ding.
That'll help the show out. Get the notifications. You know, I know we come out very regularly, but you never know when we're going to come out like with an extra episode like last week and all that stuff.
Exactly. What if we fucking move the date just because?
Yeah, or we do a live show all of a sudden. You know, we're starting to do things.
I liked that
just
live. That was fun.
Yeah, we're going to do that again. So be prepared for that. You know, I enjoyed it too. You know.
There's no going back. There's no fucking going back. Ron can't watch them after the fact because he's already done. Screwed.
No, yeah, they're live ones I can't watch back.
Ron.
So what's new? Give me the update.
Oh, let's see what is new here. Things are pretty normal right now, but I'm a little bit pissed at Hammer Strength. So I'm going to put this right on the air because I'm pissed at them. My stuff was supposed to be in last week. And then it was supposed to get me the tracking numbers, and now I can't even get someone to tell me where the fuck it is.
So I'm like, in the mail.
Is it made? Is it not made? Is it on the way? Is it in your where? Bueller? Anybody?
Right.
And you know how I am.
Answers, Dusty.
I'm waiting, and that's a lot. We got 12 pieces coming from them. I kind of need to be prepared. Because I'm actually going to go there and assist in placing things and, you know, stressful. So,
yeah.
Expanding the gym. It's getting bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, adding a few thousand square feet soon. So that's exciting.
Are you like just like his advisor, or are you like?
I am nothing. I literally he asks me stuff. I give him my ideas, and that's it. Yeah, like that's why people keep asking me. They're like, when are you going to open your gym? I'm like, why the fuck would I open a gym? I have one.
And I don't have any of the headaches or responsibilities.
Yeah, it's just bodybuilding. I just show up. I'm there for 2 hours and fucking leave. And Ron and Scott have to take care of all the bullshit. It's like, this is my life. So, yeah. And I got 2 Arsenal pieces coming now. He surprised me. There's a lot going on, dude. There's a lot.
Damn. Okay.
So I'm excited.
Okay.
Excited for that. I'm eating. I was told to grow. I did a little poll. And I put on 7 pounds last week, so that's good. I think they all landed.
Is it a weekly poll? Is it a weekly poll?
Landed. No. I just put on 7 pounds the first week, but I think they all landed in my chins. I'm like, well, wow. My head is rounder. The rest looks about the same. Shit.
I want you to look stronger. You know, a little bit. When you have like 1.5 chins, I'm like, he's inclining 450.
He's coming. Yeah, it's valid. It's a very valid point. If I start looking svelte, and it's like, yeah, but he trains like a bitch. I like that too.
Right.
Duck your chin down, and you're like, you just see it. It's all I see.
Yeah, it's just all neck from the cheekbone right to the pec.
Just a waterfall coming off of my chin. It's so bad. It's fantastic. I can't grow the beard back fast enough now to match it.
Right. See, I'm going the opposite way. I'm trying to get lean enough that no one would expect me to be able to lift anything heavy.
Then you're like surprising him. I like that.
Yeah, and then I might be able to surprise him a little by going like, you know, halfway in on some of the old weights, you know?
I saw the hack squat set or the humbler set the other day. That was nasty.
Yeah. I'm putting 4 plates on that. I know it's not a lot in your world where you have to like weld extra pins and have, you know, hire people to hold plates on top of things.
But gravity is different in Canada. A lot of people don't know that.
Well, and I
think it's the metric system.
Yeah, and I still say there's nothing harder for tall guys than that humbler, because you know it's one thing to rep out there.
I'm hanging in the
when
wheelhouse, dude.
when you're up here, like in that straight out range, that fucking thing is heavy, man.
I tell everyone that when equipment doesn't fit me right, they should throw it away, because I'm literally the definition of an average male. My height, everything. I mean, it should
What's
fit
your
me.
official height?
5'10". That's like my real height. You know, my hockey height was 6 foot.
Right.
My hockey height was 220 when I was 210, or weight, I should say. So yeah, you know.
So hockey numbers are sort of halfway to professional wrestling numbers.
Yeah, you bump yourself up. Now, of course, in bodybuilding, everyone's like, I'll tell you, I'm like 5'7".
Yeah, everyone gets shorter in bodybuilding.
And I add 20 pounds. I'm 5'7", 320.
Yeah. Did I tell you I measured myself like officially at that show that we put on? Yeah. So I went through most of my life telling everyone I was 6'1". And then I had most people telling me back, no, you're taller than that. I'm like, no, I'm 6'1". I got measured at the doctor, because I remember my doctor measured me once. And he's like, you're just under 6'1". So I went around thinking I was 6'1" for years. And then I don't know if it was just like training, being huge, but I measured myself again, like, you know, I think I was still competing. So it would have been like, you know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And I was 6 foot half inch.
You squished yourself.
And I was like, huh. And I was like, well, I guess that's possible. Plus, you do lose a bit of height as you get older, et cetera, right?
Right.
So I was like, okay, I guess I'm 6 foot half inch. Plus, there's a margin of error with the doctor and the guy that measured me 6 foot half. So I'm in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Then the other day we put on a show and we had like an official measuring station there for the figure, you know?
The one that actually comes down?
Yeah. And so I stood in that. And they checked me, and they did it 3 times. And I came back at exactly 6 foot.
Whoa.
So I don't know what happened. Yeah. So I thought, shit, I got to buy one of those inversion tables, because maybe this is a bad thing. Like maybe I'm just going to like, you know, another half inch.
Anyways.
Yeah. So I bought one. I've been hanging from it, you know, just to like.
They're awesome, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I had that hip injury that I was telling you about that I thought was from riding my bike. It was like an irritation. Something was set off like crazy in there. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's helped that a little bit. Like just kind of like, you know, just pull the hip out of the socket for 10 minutes and just like let some blood get in. I don't know.
Have you ever had one of those where you where you lean back and the release is a little aggressive and it almost scares you? It goes pop. You're like, oh, fuck. Is that okay? I've had a few of those where I usually can ease into it, and I'm trying to get it to let go just by relaxing and breathing. And every now and then it'll let go so abruptly that I'm like, okay, we're good. We're still moving. Everything's.
Yeah. One of the main thing I noticed was when I first started hanging, I felt like there was way more pressure on one ankle.
Oh, okay. Because it's locked up
like
probably.
Or the hips aren't even.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I was thinking. So one leg is like a little bit got more slack and the other one's tighter. So like one foot had more pressure on it. Mm-hmm. And so I started like kind of swinging, like gently, like moving around like side to side to wiggle down and try to really pull things apart. And then I felt like these 3 pops in my lower back, like popcorn, just, and it felt good.
Right.
And so I just hung on it for a while. And I was like, oh, shit. And then the next time I did it, I heard them again. But they didn't happen like the first 2 weeks I hung. It was like the third week when I was hanging that I heard these pops in my lower back. And now they go every time I do it. I hear these. Yep. It's like stuff starting to separate. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm destroying things in my body. Or
maybe you're getting taller.
Maybe I'm giving it some space to breathe and stuff. I don't know. But that's my situation with those things.
That was a great purchase, man. It's a great purchase.
Yeah. I bought the good one, you know.
Teeter.
Yeah, Teeter. I spent like $450. I don't know.
Yeah, which in America is like $200. I'm kidding, Canadians. I'm gonna get an email that says that's not accurate. I'm kidding. Relax.
It's like 320.
Yeah. I get that. I get corrected. I'm like, I was like last week that we put up a video. And I had 10 plates on each side of the hack. And my training partner goes, probably about 1,000 pounds. And the kid literally goes, it's 900. I'm like, I'm aware of what 20/45's weigh. Like, relax. Simple math. I think he was guesstimating that the Arsenal hack might have 100 pounds of help on it.
Right.
So, which, by the way, I want to segue because this is driving me crazy at the gym. So I've been using, the reverse banded squat or reverse band on the hack squat.
Yeah.
And I started doing that after Luke talked about it for his knees and everything about, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 months ago. Mm-hmm. And it helps immensely. I use the smallest one, but I still think it truly takes away like a full plate, like 90 pounds is my guess. Yeah, like 90 total, like a plate aside. Now I'm seeing guys in the gym using like the black, thick band, and I'm like, yeah, you gotta, what do you, I don't even know if you could go down with one plate with that. I don't know if it would go down.
Yeah. People, so this is the banding of things. I see this all the time. It's one of those things where people jump on it before they understand how to do it.
Right.
And they just don't get exactly what they're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be making the entire rep harder. You're supposed to be taking the easy spot out of the rep, right? Mm-hmm. But now I see people with a big, thick black band, like you were saying.
Yep.
And maybe they're people that could, on a good day, hack squat 3 plates.
Yeah.
Now they're using like 6 plates.
Mm-hmm.
Because it literally deloads like 100, like a fucking big fat black band on both sides can take 100 pounds a side.
Well, it springs you back out of the bottom because it's at its strongest point is the bottom.
Yeah. So you know how. Yeah, they don't understand, like the rep is on a curve. You got the top of the rep is easy and then the bottom of the rep is hard. Yeah. And you're trying to flatten the curve so the whole rep is hard. They're actually like almost bending the rep. I don't know what they're doing. What would their curve be? Their curve
I totally know what you mean by that.
I don't know. It's like the bottom of the rep is so deloaded that it's like nothing, Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're supposed to be making you're just supposed to be making the rep flatter. If we think of how hard the rep is from the bottom to the top, it's supposed to be kind of equally hard throughout.
Yeah, and it does help. Yeah, I think it's important that guys are, because now I push my clients to do it as well because I'm like, thankfully I have inhuman joints because they're so big because I'm not built for bodybuilding. But a good bodybuilder that was doing what I'm doing would probably be a wreck by the time he was my age. So I'm trying to get guys to use the bands like, oh, but my knees don't hurt. I'm like, no. I don't want them to ever hurt. Let's not wait until you're fucked up to do this. But yeah, I did catch that the other day. I'm like, damn, that is a waste to put that giant band on 2 sides of a hack squat.
Yeah.
Then I go over there because we were using it next. I literally helped him take it off and had him. I mean, the kid was watching me put one orange band through that's like that big.
Yeah. And like for guys like you and even me still, I'm still on the bottom end of heavy weights. I think a plate aside is about perfect for the hack if you're talking about how much it deloads.
Yeah.
And then so if you're a smaller person training in say like the 3 plate range on the hack, you'd actually want less band because it's like a ratio of the load. So you'd actually want like an even thinner band that only took like a half a plate aside. Mm-hmm. That's what you kind of want to do. So people don't quite, they're way over banding, like it's massively deloading, and then it's not exactly the point.
Yeah, I think most people would get it though, because I almost want to ask, but it would sound like such a dick thing, which makes me want to do it even more. But hey, would you ever use those black bands on a regular banded bench? Because we have the competition benches that you can band from the bottom. And trust me, so you're not trying to pushing into that bitch. You won't be able to do the bar with one of those bands on there.
That's when the thin bands come out.
Exactly.
They break out the micro minis.
Yeah, the one I don't even have ever seen is all of a sudden available. Because we have some guys that use that, and there was a guy in there the other day. He's a big ass dude. I mean, he's just a big fucking guy. But he's in there doing 3 plates aside on bench with the purple band also, and I'm like, okay, that's fucking insane. Like that's at lockout, the hardest point. You know what I mean? Doing sets of like 6. I was like, damn. I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Hard lockout shit. I never really fooled around with some bands on presses, just like as an older bodybuilder to deload joints and stuff. But I never did any strength training with bands, that just kind of missed my generation. Those years were behind me, the 4-plate bench days and stuff where I would have done that stuff. Like, I see you fucking load it up, Right. So I never pressed into heavy bands or did any, but I imagine the lockouts on those are just crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
I got a ton of good Instagram questions. So I also got some topics. First of all, Olympia.
Yes.
I just saw Brando's out.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, just posted. Raphael Brandel. How do you say his name? Raphael Brandel? Is that it?
I'll accept that because I don't know the answer.
Yeah. Anyway, said he's out, and it listed health reasons or medical reasons, and then I guess it's rumored that he has COVID. So I don't know if that's true or not, or maybe he got hurt or something happened. But so apparently, according to Instagram, which we all know is infallible, and something you want to definitely bet your reputation as a podcaster on.
Yeah, we should definitely say for sure he absolutely has COVID and is missing a left toe. Those two things for sure. More or less because a guy named Steve posted it.
Right. So, so how many guys now is that are out of the O now? We've got
James,
Raphael,
him,
Brandel, Flex,
yep,
Roden.
Yeah, that pisses me off. Go ahead.
Yeah. And who else won't be there now?
I don't know how many people who have bailed based on the same reason James did. So I don't know.
Right, just logistics of doing. Yeah.
Well, I think it makes sense with a lot of them. Is Regan qualified for this year, or I know he just got qualified for next year?
Oh,
but he's also that's for next year. Yeah, but I think he got it on points, right?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. He got in on points, and then he also qualified for next year, which is just such an awesome what a great thing to have.
Because he looked fucking awesome.
What, a young guy with crazy potential that can have time to actually eat.
Yeah, to eat, to grow. And I think they learned a bunch this year because he kept dieting and just kept getting better and better.
Yeah.
He looks bigger and harder now than he did the first show. Both. He looks, if somebody were to say he gained weight, obviously I would know that isn't true, but I wouldn't argue based on the way he looks. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
He looked wacky. Yeah, I was stoked for him.
Yeah. So that's I saw a post by Ian today. He was just saying, man, Canada's doing good. We got a whole bunch of pro wins and 3 guys in the show.
You know what though it is? I mean, there's a new, it's not just that they're great bodybuilders, but guys that people know.
Yeah.
Just think about it. In the beginning, I mean, it's kind of back to where it was. You had Frank, Fuad, and obviously Ben were kind of the main 3 out of Canada for a decade. And Frank stayed relevant being Frank, but wasn't really bodybuilding.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, buddy, shut up. No idea why he's barking.
There's someone outside trying to bring you a bunch of money. That's what it is.
Here. Okay. Yeah, and now you got Ian and Antoine and Regan. So it's like James says, times change, the lineup changes.
Oh, it definitely is. It's exciting to watch though, because it is. It's the new guys, the older, the veterans from Canada can't beat the new guys now, but the new guys aren't to where those guys were at their peak yet, in my opinion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think they will be, but they're not there yet. So it'll be interesting to see if they can have that same legacy as Fuad and Ben and them and kind of push it up, which I think they can because they're also all young.
Another thing too is that's kind of how it's supposed to work. The next generation after you should be better And they should surpass what you did, because they should be able to, if they're smart, they should also learn from your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously in bodybuilding, you have a situation where, the generation ahead is actually, in a lot of cases, trying to help out the next generation. And so they're contributing, and they're helping to promote them, and helping to mindset them the right way, and giving them tips, and, hey, don't do this. And, that, on a large scale, that trickles down. That's why things progress generally. They're supposed to get better, supposed to get bigger, So yeah, supposed to be more consistent,
Well, I think the guys are getting it too, because Fuad is a really vocal about. He looks at it as a responsibility to help and to promote the sport, and to promote the next guys and make them better.
Yeah, I totally get it. And then it's also too, it's a no-brainer. Fuad, like us, makes his living from the industry. So if you want the industry to grow, you should be willing to promote the people that make the industry tick.
Yep.
It's a no-brainer. So Fuad's main complaint that I hear, and I totally agree with him, is some of the older guys that shit on bodybuilding all the time, or shit on the new guys, or shit on the way they do this, or shit on that. They're not helping anything. And that's the thing is, even if you do have an opinion on something, or critical opinion on someone, or, I always try to, we're not all perfect, and we don't all handle things right. But if I got something negative to say, I'll quite often ask myself, okay, I've got something negative to say. Does it help?
Right.
Does it help at all? And if the answer is no, then I just keep it to myself often, Mm-hmm. And I think that's Fuad's, main complaint is these guys are out there bitching and complaining and hacking on things, and it doesn't help anyone. We're trying to grow the sport.
Yeah. Expand it, and I think too is the game is changing, so you have to. It's good. These guys are look at all of them; they're all killing it, and on both sides of the game. And it's I remind people with the sponsors and stuff, I'm not a hero, but I want Mutant to triple what they did last year in money. Why? Well, because then if I can prove that I was a reason, pay me.
Right. Right. It also makes me think of I sat and thought about other industries, and I thought of like rock and roll, the industry of music. Imagine if all the old rock bands, all the guys that carried the torch for years and established what rock was, guys like the Stones, ACDC, those bands. Imagine if they just constantly were going on interviews saying, "Fuck, rock sucks now, it's fucking dead."
Right.
Does that help anything? At all, if anything, they're gonna sell less back catalog albums, because people are gonna be rock sucks. That's why you should go on and promote the new generation. So, yeah, total agreement there. Okay, do you want to hit some of these questions, or did you have a?
No, I got a million questions, so we should definitely get to cranking them.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with some of these. Okay, we'll start with the training one. It's actually from a very good friend of mine, Mark Bonner. Did you ever specify your training? For example, did you ever do a hypertrophy program followed by a pure strength program? Did you ever break things up like that? Is that how you thought?
Not when I was bodybuilding. Before bodybuilding, yes. I used to do the bigger, faster, stronger programs when I was playing hockey. So that had elements of explosiveness for box drills and stuff like that, but then it was a staggering progressive overload program too. You'd go in for bench 1 week and do 5 sets of 5, then the next week 3 sets of 3, then you'd come and do 12-8 or 10-10-8. I think the last one was 5-4-3-2-1, and then you'd start over again and try to build up. But that one had all of it kind of involved in the same run. But since I've been bodybuilding, no, it's been put on size, take a break, put on size, take a break.
Right. Yeah, I never did any, real pure strength program training, but I did put strength stuff into my workouts. Like I was actually just talking with Mark, the guy that asked this question. I was just talking with him the other day about deadlifting, and because he just pulled 700 at the gym the other day.
Nice.
Which was like, yeah, it was awesome. So we were just talking about, and I was saying, I never did a pure single really deadlifting.
Yeah.
The strongest I ever got was there was one stage, I think it was around 2009 when I was working with Chad. And I did every back workout. I did 5 sets of 5 to start.
Right.
And so it wasn't failure training. It was strength based, 5 sets of 5 at the same weight and slowly increase, like add like a 2.5 and do all 5 sets with that weight. And, maybe the last set you only get 3 and then next week you get 4. So it's progressive overload, but with, power lifter style.
Right.
And so I did that. And then I would do like 4 movements of back, like normal hypertrophy style, you know? But that was the most strength based I ever did. When I was working with Scott Abel, I did get a power program from him once, and it was all sets of 5 to 7. Like the whole thing was 5 to 7 reps, super fucking heavy on everything. And it was like a 5-week rotation or something. And there was different exercises and stuff, but that it was still meant to like I still put weight on and got bigger. It wasn't like I didn't grow and just got stronger. It wasn't like an Olympic program or something like that.
Yeah, you weren't dropping the negatives or somebody wasn't taking them away. Because, I think that's a lot of where people get confused too is if you're doing a strength based, a lot of guys you'll see they'll pop up a deadlift and drop it because they're trying not to put on weight. It's just getting stronger in that same wheelhouse. You know what I mean? Whereas for us, it's like you said, if I stand it up, that's great. But the amount of pain that goes into bringing it back down is immense.
I think way too many people drop their deadlifts.
Yep.
Like way too many. Like 99% of people who drop their deadlifts don't understand like how many guys I know that are trying to get bigger and they're dropping their deadlifts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't drop your deadlifts. Take that negative. Fucking hang off it. Make it part of the pain, And that's where a lot of, size and thickness is going to come from. That's my opinion anyways. If you're trying to get bigger, then you should want negatives on all your movements. You shouldn't want to waste any of your negatives. But if your goal is just pure strength for singles, then you can drop your deadlifts, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, Dusty.
Sometimes I don't know if I believe that. I think you might be. What it is, though, is I find what's interesting is when I'll post up a deadlift video, it's always someone old school that'll answer like, because I do touch and go, but it doesn't make a lot of sound when it hits the ground because it's literally a touch. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's that control of the negative. But for me, it's also what allows me to stay in that groove. I don't know how, whether it's a deadlift, a bench, you see these kids like drop a deadlift and then spring back up again. I'm like, it just feels like something's going to break. Or a bench, forget about it. I'm like, how does your sternum take that 225-pound dump that you just let fall and then spring up, Like, no, not the best route.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for watching another podcast here at Think Big Bodybuilding Media. And thank you to our great sponsor, TrueNutrition.com, for making this all possible. TrueNutrition.com is owned by Dante Trudell, the creator of DC Training. He wanted to create a supplement company that offered high-quality, third-party tested supplements at a fair price. High-quality protein powders, just about every type you could think of. Huge variety of flavors, plus health and performance supplements. Check them out, TrueNutrition.com. And hey, if you use our code ADVICES, you directly support our podcasting. Thanks, guys. Let's get back to the program.
Okay.
Question.
Your turn.
Okay. Hi. What do you think about transgenders?
Just threw it at me.
Hey, you said it was my turn. It was the first question.
Oh, that's a complicated topic. Well, I'm one of these people that I believe that, you can do whatever you want to do. And I'll call you whatever you want me to call you. But I don't think we should be giving kids puberty blockers.
Right.
And I don't think we should be buying in to mental health issues with teenagers that should be solved other ways. Like, why has there been such an explosion? All of a sudden in the last 2 years, there's like hundreds of % increase in the number of young kids that say they're transgender.
Right.
So the two different arguments is they were always there. And the other argument is that it's sort of a thing now, and they're at the most confused point in their life when things are getting difficult. Mm-hmm. So it's not a surprise that they might, and then also too, it's far more common with girls than it is with boys. There's a lot more girls saying they're trans than there are boys saying they're trans. It's like triple, like something way higher. And it is also, I listened to a couple pretty interesting scientists talk about this. They think, teenage girls are ones going through all this pressure with body image and all that sort of stuff. And they suspect that this partially, obviously there's legitimate cases. I think there's a certain percentage that are a lot more what I would call real cases of gender dysphoria, the proper term. And then there's a lot of cases where I think they're opting out of being what they don't like. They're afraid. They're like, shit, I don't want to be a girl. Look at all the pressure. Look at all this shit we have to do. And it's like an opt out. They get to opt out. You say, hey, I'm not, I'm neither. And I could see how in today's society, with being all the pressure on social media and all the expectations of what, beauty standards and what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to act, I could see how there's a ton of confusion around it. My heart goes out to people that have those types of battles, and definitely a lot of compassion for them. I think it'd be one of the most difficult things to go through. My only thing is I don't think we should just be giving free rein to the opinions of teenagers.
Right. I agree.
If you're an adult and you want to take drugs to change your body, hey, I take drugs to change my body. I did it my whole life.
Yep.
So I have fine, do what you want. You want me to call you she or he? That's totally cool. People don't realize, I've been a very pro gay, pro freedom, pro LGBT community since I was very young. I mean, when I was 21, I worked in a gay bar bartending, and Wednesday night was drag night, and they all called me honey. and I wore a tank top, and I walked out with $300 in tips every Wednesday, and I only worked 4 hours.
I love Wednesdays.
And it was one of the it was definitely the weirdest bar job I ever had.
Right.
Just because there was, it was very interesting, man. There was a lot of very, very heavy, hard drug usage in that bar, in that community, amongst the staff and the management there. It was a pretty crazy scene. I was only there for a short time. I didn't have another bartending gig, and they were awesome. But it was an interesting insight into that sort of hardcore party world of that scene. And I met a lot of interesting people, but definitely a lot of compassion. My manager was, like a full on trans, had all the surgeries and everything. Well, I don't know if she had all the surgeries, but had some of the surgeries. Well, probably just some of the surgeries, definitely hormones and breast implants and lived life as a woman and all that stuff. And, and I called her her and she and all that. So I'm totally on board. But I just think that when it comes to parents putting their kids on puberty blockers and stuff, I think this is a very strange road that some people have gone down. You shouldn't be letting your children tell you what body parts they want to shut down or remove. That's
a tricky thing. I mean, think about when you the average person, when they go to college at 18, I tell a lot of people they should maybe wait to even go to college because they have no idea what they're going to do with the rest of their fucking life.
Yeah.
And picking a major might be tricky. Now cut that back by 5 years and change your sexuality for the rest of your life. Yeah. So I'm totally on board with what you're saying. But yeah, it was funny. I got that question, and it's actually been a topic because there's a few places that I go to where there's transgenders that go there, and a friend of mine is a bouncer at one of these clubs, and he was like, "See those hot chicks over there?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Nope." I'm like, "You're kidding me." I mean, it is amazing. I mean,
oh yeah,
I'm like, it's the prettiest woman I've ever seen that didn't start that way. Like, but yeah, the question threw me, and I'm like, Ron will have a solid answer for this, because I'm with you. Like, everyone should do what they want to do, but I also think to a point, because my friends who have 13-year-old kids, I don't want them to do everything they want to do on more basic things. If the kid wants to go fishing because he'd rather go fishing than do homework, I gotta say no. And this is a hell of a lot more extreme than ditching out on your homework.
Yeah, and there's something, I think essentially going through puberty to become a man or to become a woman, XY or XX.
It's you.
That's sort of one of the ultimate face reality periods of your life. Like everyone has to go through it. It's like a tunnel you have to walk down, and you don't quite know what's on the other side. Like, you could grow a foot during puberty. You know what I mean? Like, you could go into puberty 5'2" and come out 6 feet tall. Or you could go in 5'7" and come out 5'8". You don't know. Like, it's all a bit of a lottery when we go through it, and, we just don't know what lies on the other side. But I think that that's sort of part of developing who we really are. I think we have to actually, become an adult. I think becoming an adult is physically and emotionally and mentally, and going through all those challenges is very important. And I think that, aside from just the physical stuff, like blocking puberty blockers to prevent puberty, I think you're essentially you're just denying reality. Like, you're not letting reality sit in. Like, okay, you say you don't want to be, say, a girl, but you're not a woman yet.
Right.
You need to go through this journey. You need to, like, you might be happy on the other side. You might be like, fuck, like, by the time you get to the other side, life is going to be different.
Right.
And that's just how I see puberty. I almost see it like we all have to go through it. I can't imagine blocking it. It just seems like you're blocking the inevitable. Right. Or something you need to go through anyways.
Yeah, like you said, then when you get to the other side, if you're still in that spot, then flip the switch.
Yeah, but then they say, oh, my body's changed too much. I'm like, I don't know. I just can't see letting young kids. I just don't like it.
I know
young kids are fucking stupid, man. Young kids are fucking stupid. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, that's up to like 35 from my experience.
Emotional and easily swayed and influenced by your friends. And yeah, did I mention emotional? So, that's the main thing I see. Anyways, good question. I'm glad you
love it, dude.
Got political enough that I might get hate mail now.
Yeah, we're definitely getting shot, but hey, it was cool. Yeah. And I didn't say anything, so you're fucked.
You didn't give me. Are you just gonna nod and go?
A little bit. Well, you nailed it all. I was like, okay, good job, Rod.
Yeah.
You give me the next landmine. Go ahead.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. There's a few good training ones here. Oh yeah. Here's one just for prep. Do you ever pull condiments or artificial sweeteners at the end of prep?
I do if I need to. And for me, that's here and there. Like I have actually pulled out Splenda before, because there's been times when I actually noticed some bloating in my stomach, so I pulled it out for a week and it helped. But most time, no. And I've never pulled condiments.
Okay. I used to pull all that stuff off of everybody just to kind of be safe. It was kind of like what we did back in the day.
Yep.
And then I just kind of noticed that a lot of people don't change at all. They still look the same. Yep. The thing with condiments is they should be very consistent. And also like, so I find if someone's just using like, sea salt, hot sauce, maybe one sugar-free sauce, and just nailing their food, they don't need to pull it. But when they're using 3 different sugar-free barbecue sauces, a bunch of that syrup on their oatmeal, chew an entire pack of gum a day, drinking 7 diet sodas, putting 12 Splendas in every cup of coffee, they have to get. Yeah, that you have to stop. You can't. I think that is when. Well, first of all, I think that artificial sweeteners are tied to inflammation in the gut. So I think that we're fine as long as we just don't abuse them and minimize them. I put one Splenda in my coffee. There's however much sweetener in a scoop of protein powder. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I don't use much. So, sometimes it's just comes back down to moderation, Yeah.
Well, I think like you said too, it's making sure that you're consistent, because that's how you can, as a coach, that's what you can watch. Like I tell my clients when they're like, "Oh, can I have a little sugar-free syrup or sugar-free ketchup?" I'm like, well, how much? And be consistent, because what happens is you'll have people that all of a sudden are using a lot more than they had in one meal. Now they're around 6 meals. Now they're doing more than they were. And now we're talking calories. It's actually becoming a math thing also. Or like the big one that I hammer on is early 2000s, I was helping a bunch of girls with figure, and they were all doing the I can't believe it's not butter spray. And I had a couple of them
just pure oil.
Well, that's the thing. So I had a couple of them that went stagnant, and I'm like, what is going on here? And then coincidentally, one was in my store for a check-in while she needed to eat, and I watched her take the lid off and pour it. And I was like, wait a minute. So I called the company. There are 900 calories in a bottle. I was like,
she's going through 3-4 bottles a week.
Yeah, so she was adding a couple hundred calories on a figure girl that's 100 pounds diet. That's a huge percentage of additional calories every day. Yeah, and I'm like, because the way the laws work here, what they do is they list it as less than a calorie, but a serving is 1.5 sprays.
Yeah, it's minuscule. The serving size is where they get you.
Yeah, they're lying because nobody uses 1.5 sprays. I mean, I don't even like butter, and it's like if I'm putting it on a potato, it's fucking 10 sprays. Like, you know what I'm saying? So those things people have to look into, because I think that you want to believe that's okay, but it's like, use your head. You're pouring it in. Right. So
I definitely agree. That's a bad one, and I've seen that happen. And I don't mean to rag on the females, but not everything has to fucking taste like cake.
And us. He's ragging on the females and me. Go ahead.
Actually, I purposely sounded extra cynical there just for a second.
He's like, or cake, asshole.
Or cake. Yeah, So, okay. We had a good one here. Oh, I'm just reading the one where they're saying I'm a great guy, and they don't have a question for me. They just wanted to take a minute to say how much they appreciate it. Thanks, Mom. Okay, here's the one. What's the craziest non-lifting thing you've ever seen go down in a gym?
Oh, that's easy. I watched a guy who got into a disagreement with the owner of the gym, walked outside when the owner wouldn't fight him, and kicked over his Harley and waited for him to come out. And the owner did not come out.
Really?
Just took it. And I'm like, well, this is interesting. Yeah, I've seen a few of those. I've seen quite a few fistfights in gyms over the years. But that was the biggest one, just because even though nothing happened, it was one of those things where you're like, everyone's just kind of like, well, what's going to happen now? You got to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was an extreme case. And I was still new to the gym. So I was definitely like a little intimidated in general to be in that environment. And then this big freak is out screaming and kicking over motorcycles. And I'm kind of like, wow, those steroids really cause a problem, huh? Okie dokie. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was definitely the most intense one I've seen.
I remember one time I was at the gym. This was in Edmonton. It was at one of the World Health Clubs that I used to train at. And I knew all the shit bags from the bar, right? Because I was working in the bar. So I knew like a lot of the fucking, underworld. And there was this guy, he was like kind of a pimp. Mm-hmm. And he was always nice to the door guys, but like, he's operationally he's a piece of shit, right? And anyways, he comes into the gym one time just fucking like, he looks like he's fucking fuming. And he walks across the gym, and there was this kid there that was like a real shitbag. I'd kicked him out of the gym before, or kicked him out of the bar before, but like we were on okay terms because he knew he was an idiot. And anyways, that guy just walked over to him and just started slapping the shit out of him, like open hand slaps, just fucking walking through the dumbbell area, stepping over benches, just fucking smack. The kid gets back up, smack again. Kid trips over a bench, lands on his back, scrambles, gets back up, smack. Just fucking like bare hand, just fucking left, right.
That's so demoralizing.
Wearing his winter jacket. Like no gym bag, just walks into the gym, fucking just smack. The kid's in his workout clothes, just stumbling, falling all over the place. The kid gets back up, runs around the other side of the dumbbells, and this guy picks up a 45-pound plate and just fucking throws it at him. And he turns and it hits him in the arm, and he falls over, and then he just walks out.
I'd have to stop him real quick and be like, I just want to know what it was about, just cause curiosity.
Yeah,
Morbid
I remember I was sitting on the incline bench under the Smith machine, and I remember I was doing my wrist wraps up, and I was like fucking with my headphone, and I just heard this, whoa, kind of chaos, and I turn, and he's just walking through the dumbbell area, this dummy and this kid, and I saw him come in, right, because I knew who he was. I saw him come in like the one side, and I was like, oh, he's here. And then, like, next thing I know, he's just smacking the shit out of this kid, throws a plate at him.
That's the good old days, because now you can't do that kind of shit. Somebody'd be arrested. There'd be a big thing. I'm sure the kid did some stupid shit. He needed to get smacked around, so he did.
Probably. I imagine you'd have to do something pretty stupid for that guy to come in like that.
Yeah, that guy didn't even have a membership for the gym. He's like, I don't need to train. I'll be here for a second. We had I used to train with 2 DEA guys. And we would laugh because we would see this guy come in every morning with a coffee cup, and he'd go into the locker room, and they'd come out without the coffee cup and leave every day, or come out on the floor. So he was obviously making deliveries, and they don't care. Like the amount of drugs that is. These guys are looking for semis, not the guy delivering to the gym. So we're in the locker room one day after they had a big case one night, and we're talking, and one of my guys is like, dude, I'm just dead. And the guy literally looks at me and goes, hey, if you ever need a pick-me-up, just let me know. And he goes, yeah, we've seen the coffee cup routine. It's really tired, to be honest with you. But being that I'm a DEA guy, there's just not much I can do with that. And the dude's face just went white. And I don't think we ever saw him again.
Oh, my God.
That's
like, funny.
Oh, the way he did it, he was just so nonchalant. I was like, that guy is pissing his pants in the car right now.
Right. I forgot that I saw the cops come into the gym one time and arrest a guy. He was sitting on a bench, like in between sets, and all these cops just came in and just surrounded him. And they were pretty fucking serious. Got him down on the ground, hands behind his back. Yeah, they went and got his gym bag. They went and walked him out. So that was interesting.
Yeah, see, but I think the smack story is the greatest, because I would like, that's one of those things where you'd watch it happen, and you're like, wow. Yeah, there's been if you start thinking about how many weird things you've seen in the gym, you're just like, the guys that take their shirt off randomly. I'm like, what are you doing? you can't. No, not here. Yeah, we've had a few of those. Those are great, man.
Yeah.
Whoever asked that question, they can stick around. That's a good one. That's fun.
Okay, your turn.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. Okay, how did gyms motivate people to come back after months off due to COVID? Is the gym's job to motivate you?
Well, I think some gyms, it's their model that some gyms have the model where they're kind of going after like the regular person and stuff, right? So they might have to work harder to get people to trust them.
I see what you're saying.
Because I've gone on like some, I've done a lot of reading and gone down some rabbit holes on like, different Instagram pages of different fitness facilities and gyms. And I see that staggering difference in comments from the kind of the serious gyms to the fitness clubs. It's like a completely different world. The gyms are like, we love you guys. We fucking love you. We love that you're open. Thank you so much for keeping the gym clean. It's awesome. Let's fucking train. And then I go to like some of the fitness clubs in different cities, obviously. And the comments will be like, I saw someone touch their face and then touch a dumbbell the other day. You guys aren't doing a good job. Irresponsible. Like, you know, just like this ridiculous level of just childish, you know, refusal to take any fucking responsibility for themselves or their own actions or their own health, or like just, you know what I mean? Like everyone else's fault. Everything needs to be done for me. I'm a fucking idiot that needs everyone to take care of my fucking feelings. Like those types of people. And a lot of those people, they train at like, you know, Planet Fitness, you know, fitness clubs, that sort of thing. They have to deal with a lot of those people. And so it's, you know, we're just lucky down at West Coast. Everyone's just like, hey, man, I do whatever I got to do to help you guys just keep rolling, keep trucking, you know?
Yeah. We've had a lot of that too with Muscle Factory, because he's got all the cleaning shit everywhere. And people are really, like, it's funny. I actually had to like tell a couple of the kids, because we're right by the school, like, hey, I appreciate you guys wiping the equipment off, but do me a favor, spray the towel because you're leaving it wet. Like they're spraying, and I'm like, that feels more gross than you just not wiping it off for me. I don't know. Right. Yeah. You know, but it has, it does seem to me though, like you said with these gyms. So I think a lot of the big gyms down here are going further and further into trying to do this excellent job. Are you frozen? Oh my God, you didn't blink for like a minute. That was amazing.
Nope. I was just right in on what you were saying.
Zoned. So no, but a lot of the big gyms here are losing customers to the hardcore gym now, because they're putting in they're creating their own rules that don't even exist. They're even more stringent than they have to be. So like Lifetime Fitness down here, I actually talked to somebody who's that works there. They're at like 30% of what they were before COVID. But they're being
membership?
Yeah. Like down 70%, because like we have certain masks, like the little plastic ones that come off your chin and just come about nose height. Those are fair game for restaurants, any other place. So they're fair game for obviously gyms. They don't allow them.
Right.
So people are literally leaving based off of that, or just how they're approaching people to ask them to, you know, wear their mask and stuff. Because I had that at EOS. We were in there training one day, and it was just Tommy and I. I had just taken a drink, and I'm standing there. I had my mask around my chin. I'd be honest, I don't fucking want to wear the thing at all, but whatever. And I literally had a 17-year-old kid like beeline it to me, and he literally goes, "I'm not going to tell you again to put your mask on." And I looked at him, and I'm like, "Have you been punched in the face before, or is today going to be your first time?"
Right.
And he was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're never going to fucking talk to me like that." And he was like froze and didn't know what to do. And meanwhile, he had his mask down under his nose. I'm like, "You don't even have your fucking mask on." I do. It's different because the mouth. I go, "Explain it to me. Explain to me how it's fucking different."
Yeah.
And if, you know,
I got
of
a better
course, he literally leaves. And the funny thing is then the manager comes over and he's like, "Hey, sorry." He went to complain to him. And they know that I'm not trying to be an asshole in the gym. And he literally came out and was like, "I'm sorry." And I was like, "Dude, there are some people in this gym that are 7-figure people that are not going to accept that. It will not go well for your gym." You know, you walk over, "Hey, dude, I don't like it either, but you know we got to do them." "Oh, hey, yeah, no problem. My bad." Done. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, I'm being schooled by a 17-year-old. No.
Yeah.
No. Not in this fucking lifetime. Sorry.
No.
So. Anyway, you're up. Hey, nice dick. Sorry.
My gym has the worst leg machines ever. Any leg movements that you recommend to replace Hack's leg press aside from just squatting forever? So what are your favorite leg movements aside from obviously squats?
So he didn't say anything about a Smith machine. So I actually love a Smith squat. I love a reverse. Right. I like reverse lunges for hamstrings on a Smith. I like lunges on a Smith. I like Bulgarian split squats with dumbbells or on a Smith. You know, for adductors, you can do a sumo style dead. I mean, the list is literally ridiculous. You got to think longer. I mean, a Bulgarian split squat will destroy you if you know how to do it.
Plus, I mean, also squats aren't squats. Like, there's a difference between,
the high bar,
rear delt squats with a wider stance, pounding out whatever weight you're pounding, and high bar, heels elevated, feet shoulder width apart, sitting on your quads, trying to stay up, there's all those different things. They're completely different exercises. So, and you could go into the squat rack and do 3 different movements.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, I mean, a walking lunge versus a stationary lunge hits muscles different. I think the big key is, and I feel you, I mean, like, I'm so spoiled that I used to, prior to having Muscle Factory, travel to different gyms based on what I was training that day because I have that much availability. But you don't need to. If you don't have the money or the time, like, you can annihilate yourself with a barbell and some dumbbells.
Another thing, too, is make sure you fully explored the quote-unquote shitty leg press and hack squat that gym has. Maybe the leg press sucks for standard heavy-ass, leg pressing like how you and I did most of our leg pressing through our lives.
Right.
Maybe it's not a great leg press for that. But maybe if he, wedges a pad in behind his hips and puts his feet a little low on the platform, he can do a slow negative real quad fucking banger set, and it actually feels awesome.
Right. No, that's true.
Actually, you can fuck with it, right?
We have a Body Masters leg press at that's being replaced, but that's currently what we have. And the pitch of the seat to the platform is wrong. It's just wrong. There's no two ways about it. So I have found I have to go a little shallow. I don't let my knees go out beyond my body like I usually would, but I can make it, like you said, feet are super low. It's a little bit of a shallow rep, but if I'm doing 20, 25 reps, my quads are destroyed.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have another option,
Yeah. Hey, who knows? Maybe the hack squat is actually okay for Tom Platt sissy squats or something. Like, it might not be
reverse or for reverse.
Yeah.
I mean,
or
you got to play with it. You're right.
Stance, Sometimes you just gotta make it work, Yeah. So I've made some shitty equipment work. I remember this one leg extension. It didn't have very good range. Like, it would set down on you.
Right.
So I would take this hard pad and I would elevate myself forward a little bit, and then I'd lean back.
So you had a way to stretch.
it gave me an inch more range of motion.
Right.
But that was an inch past 90.
Right.
And it was right where every inch past 90 you want, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just enough to make the extension okay, I can use this,
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, it's your turn now. That was my question.
But you were so excited. You had I was ready for it.
I know. I got the next one's all for me.
Oh, we got another one of those. Well, Ron, you can speak on both sides of this now. Do you miss not being able to wear nice clothes, suits, etc. when you were, let's say, when you were really big?
I've never been I'm just such a casual, chill dude. I wouldn't have dressed any different, I don't think. Except for certain times where I remember one time I short notice had to go to a wedding and I didn't have fucking anything. So just wore this sweater that I had.
Right.
And I remember I felt kind of an idiot because everyone else had a suit jacket. I wasn't in the wedding. I was just a guest, at the reception. But everyone else had a suit and I just had a sweater because I didn't have anything at the point. I was working in the bar. And then I got, old enough that, my best friend got married. So I got a suit made, Right. Oh, I'm a man now, finally got a suit made, and then I would have a couple of shirts. If I really had to dress up, I could put them on, that sort of thing. I got a pair of dress pants made once, but I would always just, kind of avoid dressing up. Dressing up for me has always been I got my good jeans on and I'm going for a steak.
It's the exact same as me. Same thing. I mean, for me, suits I have made. So my suits are as good as any suit there is. And the other stuff, the only thing that I would say sucks a little bit is I do like some of the casual going out styles, like the t-shirts that kind of fit decently. But you'll understand this. When you're 195 pounds and you want to wear a tank top to the mall, it's fine. But I feel like when I wear a tank top to the mall, I'm that douchebag that had to wear a tank top to make sure everybody saw me wearing a tank top. Yep. And it's really not that. It's 120 fucking degrees, and I too don't want to have clothes on. So it's the same with these shirts. Is I hate a shirt that's pinned around my arm because I feel like that guy. I wish it was loose around my arm like it is on everyone else. So I could just wear the cool shirt and call it a day. You know what I mean? So that's really my only complaint, is more the minor cleanup, like you said, because the amount of times I need to put on like slacks is zero. I own them. But and button-ups, all that stuff is easy to get custom. But you're not making a shirt custom. It's just kind of like, it fits kind of shitty. Oh, well.
I started getting suits made for MC and shows. So now I think I have 5 complete suits and a couple extra jackets now. And it was funny because Emily and I she took me out for my birthday, right?
Yep.
And she even joked, she's like, "Oh, you should throw on one of your suits." And I was like, "No one's paying me to put it on."
Yeah, that's ridiculous. This is my birthday.
I'm gonna be all uncomfortable and hot for the whole dinner, you know?
People far underestimate how little I want to sacrifice comfort to look a certain way.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, here's one. This is definitely geared towards me, but I get to have a selfish moment, so I get to ask it because I'm very excited.
I love it. Let's do it.
It's about what is your review of the new ACDC album?
See, I said it as a band. Go.
This guy says, is it the best album since Flick of the Switch? I
need you to go deep on this because I have no idea. So run with this.
Okay, I'll give you a proper review. So I've listened to the whole album start to finish. It came out like a few days ago. Probably gone through it about 20 times now. And really listened to it. Like I sat just with headphones on several times and just listened through the whole thing. And I'm listening to like all the little things they did in production and where the backup vocals go and how loud everything is and just the quality of the album. And I think the album sounds absolutely fantastic. It's the same producer that they had for the last 2 albums. But I thought the last 2 albums were like possibly a little too shiny for me, and like a little too perfectly
polished.
Produced. Just I don't know what the feeling was, but just a little bit too polished because he's kind of one of those producers. Recorded here in Vancouver, by the way, all 3 of them. But this album, I feel like I read and heard in some interviews that they recorded. They tried to make it a little more raw. Like they played some of the tracks just in a room and they did some different stuff with some mics and it sounds fucking awesome. Now, the cool part about the album is Angus said all the riffs, every single riff off the record came from the last real round of sessions he had with his brother before he died, which was when they were making the 2008 album, Black Ice. Because when they went to make Rock or Bust, which was the following album, that's when Malcolm realized he couldn't remember how to play guitar and he was losing it.
Wow.
That's when Stevie Young, their nephew, stepped in and finished the album with them and toured and did the tour. And then Malcolm obviously died of dementia, in 2017. So this was the last time that, Malcolm was operating at full capacity and him and Angus were writing riffs, and they had so many riffs for that album that they just put like dozens of them on the rocks. And so Angus went back to those and he got all the riffs that he liked, the way that they were written. He didn't alter them. He wanted them to be the riffs that him and Malcolm wrote. He didn't want to further tweak them because he wanted Malcolm to, really be in the album, Right. And for fans like me that are like lifetime fans, the relationship between Angus and his brother Malcolm, I mean, they are AC/DC, right? And Malcolm was actually kind of more of the like riff writer. And had a lot of the creative ideas as to how, they were going to make the songs and stuff. And so Angus really wanted that to be on the album. So the songs are all built around those riffs. And it sounds fucking great. There's some killer riffs on it. Like I think the riffs, the guitar riffs are more old school ACDC than they have been the last couple albums. I think it's their best album, easily their best album in 20 years, easily of the last like 4 or 5 albums. It's the best one. And every time I listen to it, I like it more and more. And there's a couple tracks on it that there's one track that hits a little bit deeper than normal because it's obviously about Malcolm's decline.
Right.
And so, AC/DC, they write either like, just good, like good sound and, kind of rock and roll lyrics, or they'll have, they'll have a bit of double entendre in there with sex and ladies and partying and stuff. There's always some little jokes in there. But there's a song called Through the Mist of Time. And it's sort of, when I hear it, I think it's just obviously about Malcolm and how, he slowly lost his grip on who he was and what he was. And Angus said in an interview that I just saw, he said that Malcolm dying was actually a huge relief for him. It was the decline that he found.
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah.
And he said he used to go visit Malcolm, and he would just sit there and play guitar. And he said while he would play, he could actually see Malcolm like come around a little bit. And he said Malcolm would tap his foot.
Right.
And then he said Malcolm occasionally, because Malcolm had that thick Aussie accent, that real Aussie, like I can't do it. It's just like super Australian, deep Aussie accent, right?
Right.
And that real throaty tone, like and so when Angus told the story, he said every once in a while, like Malcolm got to a point where he couldn't talk, right?
Right.
But every once in a while when he played him guitar, he would go, "That's good, that rocks."
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's a big deal. It's the album that we were never going to get. It's the album we weren't supposed to get. Brian's hearing went on him and he couldn't finish the last tour. And then after the last tour, the bass player retired. Cliff said, "I'm done." That's been incredible. And basically the band was done, And then Angus started digging through these riffs and he thought, fuck, I think there's an album here. And he called the guys up and said, "Do you want to come to Vancouver and record this fucking thing?" And they all said, "Yep." And so,
nice.
Yeah. So, and for those that don't know, like they really, really try to keep Malcolm's sound. So, for example, Stevie Young, the nephew who plays rhythm now, he's playing Malcolm's guitar. Right.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Like the whole time he toured on the last album, he's playing Malcolm's guitar. He's playing his old Gretsch, and he recorded with it on the album. And the reason they got Stevie is because they said Stevie's the only guy that knew how to play like Malcolm, and he could play every song just like Malcolm. And when he sings backup voice, he's got the same voice.
Right. So
there's a bunch of moments on the album where, because Malcolm used to sing most of the backup, the other guys would pitch in on some songs, but Malcolm and Cliff would always sing like like Thunderstruck, right?
Yeah.
That's Malcolm and Cliff, like the bass player. That's them singing that, right? And so backup vocals are a big part of AC/DC,
For sure, yeah.
Just think of the thunder or TNT, oi, like that's all Malcolm's and all that stuff. So if you want Malcolm's sound on the album, the backup vocals have to match too. And Stevie sounds fucking awesome. Right. It sounds like Malcolm is on this record. And the song Through the Mist of Time that I said kind of hit a little heavy for me, they sort of have a long outro where there's like a backup vocal, and it sounds just like Malcolm is singing it, and they let it go for quite a while at the end of that song.
Right.
And it's I don't know, I think it's fantastic. It's the album I wasn't supposed to get. I'm very happy to have it. There probably won't be a tour to go with it. Who knows how the world will work. These guys are pretty old. Brian's 72 now. Angus is 65. Cliff's 71, I think. And I have to say one more thing for the album, the music nuts out there that know what I'm talking about. But Phil Rudd is one of the greatest drummers of all time. And he did it with doom, doom, doom. It's fucking perfect. He sounds fucking awesome on this record, man. Phil Rudd is a machine. And for a guy that doesn't play, as my favorite Phil Rudd quote was, no one thinks of AC/DC when they think of good drummers, because Phil is different. Phil said, "A good drummer knows when not to drum." Right? And another Phil Rudd quote is, is this a drummer band or a guitar band? Because last time I checked, this was a guitar band. I got one job. You know?
I love a guy who he's like, this is my lane.
And then he also said, he goes, I never wanted to be one of those dental drummers. And the interviewer goes, dental drummer? And he goes, yeah, always looking for a fill. You know? Right. He's like, no, it's the space that makes ACDC. It's the open space. It's the space between the drum beats. It's the fucking foot tap. You can't fucking help it. Like, you put this record on, and like, Emily doesn't really care about ACDC, but I put it on the other day, and like, she was in the kitchen and she was like doing this.
Right.
And like, and that, I guess, to sum it all up, is that's why this album has Malcolm all over it. Because Malcolm said the only thing he ever fucking cared about when they made a record was, do you tap your foot?
Right.
That's the secret. So, and you tap your foot on this record, man, the whole way through. So that's my review. There you go.
That was phenomenal, Ron. See, this is why I got to let you run sometimes. Just like, go. You know? That's why I let you come off small with that one, because I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me is what's happening right there.
So did we lose 80% of our viewers at this point? Scott can give us the
no, I think we gained. I think we gained some in that aren't interested in bodybuilding.
Sometimes I'm afraid to go off, Dusty. I have to admit, sometimes I hold back because I'm like, nah.
Yeah, but if you were derailing, I would be like, so baseball, huh? Right.
How about that game?
What game? Doesn't matter, Ron. Just switch on to the game.
Yeah.
All right. I hate to do this because I wanted to roll into something a little lighter after that, but it's a good question, so I'm gonna do it. A guy asks, which of course I just scanned off, and I wanted to get it. There we go. It's directed to me, but I'm gonna have you do it as well. How did you handle losing your father? In your case, your mother. Sorry about that, but your perspective is always strong. I'm gonna have you lead this one because I asked.
Well, that's an interesting question, because I just thought about that not long ago, like within the last couple weeks. You know, I'm not sure if I've actually properly handled it yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how much time it takes to properly kind of handle and process something like losing a parent, especially, you know, I was close to my mom, you know, I love my mom very much. So it's you know, I don't know if, sometimes I wonder if I skipped it, because, you know, life goes on and we move on. And, you know, I wonder, like, sometimes I think to myself, like, was I supposed to have like a breakdown, or was I supposed to have 2 weeks where I could just cancel everything? Or was I supposed to, like, was I supposed to have to go see a therapist? Like, was I supposed to have to like call my sister a lot and talk about it? Like, cause I didn't really do any of that stuff.
Right.
And, you know, I had moments where I'm like, is there something wrong with me? Should I have had to do that stuff?
Am I fucked up? I mean,
yeah. And then also the thought, like, oh, maybe it's going to hit me in like 3 more months. I just been so preoccupied, you know, there was like a short period of time and then COVID hit.
Right.
And we've kind of all had a lot going on. And maybe, you know, when life returns to whatever normal is, I'm going to like have like a sudden realization that, you know, my mother's no longer there. Like, there's always those kind of like thoughts, you know? So, you know, I mainly, I guess the question is, how did you handle it? I guess the question is, my mom was like a real no bullshit person who she hated whiny people and people who bitch and complain, and life is tough. No one said it was going to be easy. Like, that's the type of person she was.
Right.
You know, well, 100 years ago, we all had to kill every single meal we ate, you know, so fucking life isn't like, you know, like, she was a pioneer woman, right? You know?
Right.
So, you know, how do you handle anything? You just fucking keep going.
Yeah, just handle it. I agree. That makes sense. For me, I mean, it's a little different. And I mean, I like the question, but I think people should recognize, number one, is how you handle it is how you handle it. It's okay. Whatever that is. In my case, opposite of you, as a lot of people know, like, I did not have a great relationship with my dad. And he had committed suicide. So when it happened, was a situation where I knew in a second. My his ex-girlfriend or his girlfriend at the time called me, which was weird all by itself. And I answered the phone, and she's like, "Hey, I'm at the house. Your dad's motorcycles are all here. His cars are here. His dog is here, and the door to his office is closed." And I said, "Do not open that door. I'm on the way. Call the cops. He committed suicide." And she was like, "What?" And I'm like, "You already knew. That's why you called me."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, so just whatever. And I went, same thing, handled it. Only thing I did that was they think is a little weird is I had to go see, which people would tell you not to do. That closes doors for me. I have to see things.
Right.
You need like, okay, finality. And because I was able to get there first, I was able to do that. And I wouldn't recommend that to 99% of people because it's not something you can erase. But it's something I didn't want to erase. So it was a decision. Like, bam, go in. Okay, that's real. Yeah. Now wait. And the only thing that's different in my case is over time, number one, I was closer with him after he died because I started to understand some things. I started to let things go. I started remembering good things that we had and forgetting bad things. Right. You know, because we were motorcycles were our only common ground. So I actually still own one of his bikes. I don't drive it, but I have it. And yeah, I mean, and I think as I've gotten older and experienced life, I have a better understanding of the mistakes he made. And now I'm like, okay, sucks. And definitely should have handled that differently, but now I get it. And I also know where he came from. So he had less guidance than I did. I mean, I moved out when I was 16, but I still had parents. He moved out when he was 14 and didn't. So right. Like you said earlier, when you're talking about puberty and going through and learning, like that's a big window to just handle your shit. So yeah, I mean, actually for me, my relationship is stronger now. And for years, I mean, he died in 2008. I would get uneasy a few days before every year. And a lot of people don't know this and it sounds really twisted, but he committed suicide on a date he knew I wouldn't forget. He actually wrote it in his suicide letter. It was on purpose. And I used to get worked up for a few days before, and it was kind of a big deal. And I remember a couple of years ago, I woke up on December 9th and went, oh, that was yesterday. And that was good. It was like, okay, that's done. But I was the same as you. Like, I remember at the funeral watching people wait. They were just waiting for me to crack. And I could see it. And I'm like, I'm not like putting on a show here. I have a weird thing with like death doesn't freak me out. It doesn't. Right. We die. Yeah. In the end, you die. Like how you die, I mean, whatever it is, what it is. And I also don't. I know it sounds terrible, but if it's your time to go and you're a 50-something-year-old man and you make that choice, do your thing, homie. Like it sucks that that's where you're at and that you didn't have someone to help you through. But if you're done, you're done. So yeah, not a huge. There was no handling it. I just. Each day, I mean, the only thing I did was like the night after, I think I made the decision to go get hammered. Like, I was like, right. All right. So I went to a place we used to go. I drank until I needed a ride home, and that was it. Really? Yeah. I was like, all right, well, I'm thoroughly fucked and wasted a bunch of money. I guess I'll get out of here. And that was it. So, yeah, no big thing. I think if someone's dealing with it differently, I mean, like I said at the beginning, my answer is let things roll how they will. And I think in time, even you, Ron, in a year, 5 years, 10 years, the connection to it changes. And I think your appreciation, and you already had a great relationship, will be even higher because you'll start to see more and more things in your life that were impacted by her raising you. And it's like, fuck, man, I'm glad you did that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been very interesting because there's been a lot of that already, Right. So it's, you definitely losing a parent. What did I read? I read something about losing your first parent, and then for people who are fortunate enough to have two parents the whole time, anyways. But right. Apparently, losing your first parent is supposed to be like a certain type of effect, and then when you lose your second parent or your only parent, there's like another dramatic sort of change in you that normally happens, Yeah, which makes sense.
Yep.
All right, you better bust out something humorous, bitch.
Is this my turn now?
We've went way too deep. Bring us back. Should have saved the training one. Damn it.
Who are some of the bodybuilders that didn't go pro, but you always think of them as like amazing bodybuilders and top of their game?
Didn't go. Man, well, so because they were kind of before me, but the 90s has just a laundry list of guys who.
Oh, the 90s, man. Well, I
would have slayed at a national show next weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, the first name I always think of is Edgar Fletcher.
Yep.
And for those of you that don't know Edgar Fletcher, just Google that name. He just had a crazy physique, man. What a shape and structure, and I think he was a Gold's Venice guy, wasn't he, Edgar Fletcher?
I believe so, yeah.
But man, yeah, he was amazing. Just never got the pro card, but that was like the Tom Prince era with like all those fucking nutty top level guys in the 90s there. Remember him and Titus battling at USA's, and I think Edgar was third. Like,
Edgar was always like a third to fifth guy every single year. It's like, what are you supposed to do though? I mean, a lot of guys don't understand too. I have a friend who competed when there was a great bodybuilder who did the USA's one year with Flex, and he went into the show and he goes, I remember looking at him backstage and going, I don't see what all the hype is about. And he goes, then I watched him put on 20 pounds in front of my eyes when he started pumping up. He goes, I literally watched him transform as soon as the blood went into his muscle, and he was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a bunch of guys in that era, though, that were nuts. I mean, it's harder because you don't really sit back and think of the guys who didn't turn pro, but then I go into even the guys that did but never did anything.
Yeah.
Or chose not to do things. You know what I mean? They're like, all right, I'm good, which I think is cool because anymore, the one thing that I don't love about bodybuilding is the first thing people want to do when they decide to compete is turn pro.
Right.
And then the other thing is like that they need to make something of it. Like, I would be doing what I'm doing now if I worked a normal job and no one was watching, because there's nowhere I would rather be for those 2 hours a day than at the gym. Nowhere.
Right.
You know, I can't imagine what I will do when I just don't want to do this anymore. 'Cause I'm like, I don't know if I've ever wanted to do anything else this much. Like, no one's making me go, and I go all the time. That's weird.
Yeah. That's important. I saw, I can't remember exactly where it was, but someone was just talking about like there's two types of bodybuilders. You know, there's those that'll do this if no one is there to see it anyways, and there's those that would completely lose a desire to do any of it if there was no one there to see it.
Yeah.
And, it's good to know. It's good to know which one you are ahead of time. You know, it's a lot easier to be disciplined and driven and, stick to the plan when it's all about you.
Yeah. This is just what you love to do.
Yeah.
Sorry. I love this. We don't even need to answer it, but I just love that someone would rather ask us than Google that. Is pee stored in the balls? Ignore the bladder, but anyways.
Yeah.
I appreciate the humor. I'm okay with that. Okay, I can't do that one again. Oh, here we go. This is a good one, Ron. See, we can just end the show. Is pee stored in the balls? Okay. How do you control your lust when you are super horny, but in a situation and can't have sex? I wish he would have expanded on what the situation is.
You mean my entire life?
Well, Ron started lifting weights when he was 13 because that's around the time the old nuts dropped and he realized he had lust.
I have amazing, yes, that's funny. You just, you gotta have an outlet. So it's always good to have, at least a fuck friend that you can get your frustration out on, or with, I should say. So, if you don't have anyone special in your life.
On makes them sound like they're not there by choice. Careful.
Yeah.
You can't have this person in your basement tied up, okay?
Yeah, that doesn't count. Yeah. Willingly in your life.
There we go.
As a red-blooded man who has, had very high testosterone levels from, I guess, day one of puberty.
Entire life, yeah, I was going to say.
We're back to puberty, just like we were talking about. Important step to go through. But yeah, how do you control your lust? Well, you just remember it's a place and time for everything. There's a place and time for everything. Like, just have to contain yourself. So here's this is going to be, I really shouldn't tell this.
I'm derailing. Here we go. It's time. It's fucking time.
So I've had people ask me, they're like, so what's it like to be on a lot of testosterone? And I always say, well, I remember when I was working in the bar, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, and I would because I used to clean out totally, right? I was an on-off bodybuilder, right? I would go completely off for a while, and then I'd start a cycle. It was all exciting, Yeah. And I remember when I start my cycle, I could smell girls.
Easy, Biden. Easy.
Yeah. You could, but because they're hot and dancing and stuff and they're sweating, you just and it hits your brain and you're like, oh.
That's not your brain, but go ahead.
Yeah. It's not your brain. But no, your senses are heightened is my point. Your testosterone goes up suddenly, so you're not desensitized. So everything, all the senses that go with that, I noticed it. I used to notice it. Yeah, it was just interesting. And I'd always, come home from work a little bit, a little riled up.
Man, you got me all amped up that you're going to say something terrible. You said you could smell girls.
Little 3 a.m. Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. I'm not talking about their hairspray or their.
Yes, I'm aware.
Talking about their essence. Their animal. Oh my God. Their animal essence.
By the way, this kid's name is Darwin, which makes me. I just love, because I'm like, man, I would like to have Darwin on the show to discuss this question.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm not sure if most people realize what testosterone does to your senses when you first take it.
Yeah, no, I've told women that I've met along the way, I'm like, you ever had a boyfriend that was a little too much? Yeah, I'm like, I'm 5 of him. That should help everything you need to know about where this is going.
Okay.
Classics. All right, you're up, dude.
Is it my turn?
Yes, I did pee stored in balls, and
I feel like I gave a lot though with the being able to smell girls thing. That should turn me into a real creep. That should make a lot of.
I can actually hear Emily packing, which is really weird.
Why did you say that? You have to think. Why would you say such a thing?
You even said, I can't believe I'm going to say it, and then you said it anyways.
Yeah, I know. Okay, we're realists here, Dusty. Come on. Every human has been too close to somebody and sort of smelt them in and been like, oh, they smell like sex.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You are. This episode is never going to end because I'm not letting it. Ron is on fire today.
Okay. Here's one. What can be learned in bodybuilding from powerlifting and strongman? Any correlations or lessons?
Absolutely. A million. But the biggest, most obvious is the basics. I think when you and I started, what did you learn? Squat, bench, deadlift, maybe a clean, and you owned those things. Nowadays, everyone comes in and they want the exact, but isn't there a pinky twist at the bottom of this tricep extension? Am I twisting my wrist right? The basics and the consistency are the things. I think also with powerlifting, periodization is taught. It's an argument I get into with people all the time. They always say, well, how does progressive overload work? Wouldn't you eventually be benching 1,000 pounds? Well, no, because it's not a forever up.
Right.
Hill, you know what I mean? It's up and down and up and down and back and forth, and that's what powerlifters do as well. It's what percentage are they at? And I think the biggest one for all of the above is the mental strength, which is, I firmly believe, and you know this, Ron, if you ever walk up to a bar convinced it's going to be heavy, you are fucked.
Yep.
Versus the days that you're kind of laughing and you're about to do something you've never done. and you know it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. You know, so I think those things are the prime areas that I can think of. What about you?
Yeah, I was mainly going to say the mental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, those guys do things that they have to be so focused and, you know, centered and ready and zoned, because they're lifting weights and doing things that could end their careers.
Yeah.
You know,
every time.
every time, like very, very often, they're putting themselves in very high risk, controlled high risk situations.
Yep.
And, you know, I think there's something to learn. I think some people, you know, there's some people out there that sort of think their bodies are more fragile than they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's those people that don't pay attention to form and just do the dumbest shit. And then there's people that are like, they hold back. And so I always used to say, like, you know, when you start to train heavy for you.
Yep.
Right. So like heavy for you, like that's, you know, and I would sometimes, you know, you get that worry, like, oh, I hope I don't get hurt under this weight.
Right.
I would tell myself like a lie, but it would sound good and it would like trick my brain. Right. Like I'd be getting under a bench and be like, fuck, I hope I don't hurt myself. If that thought ever creeped into my head, I would push it out by saying, this weight isn't heavy enough to rip anything. Or those powerlifters are moving such massive weights and they're not getting, like, fuck you and this is not going to hurt you. This isn't even, you're not even nearly strong enough to get hurt under this weight. This is fucking nothing. And like I would like combat the thought, you know?
Yeah, you would lie to yourself in a way that would convince you that you were safe.
Yeah, this is like, because there'd always be a few powerlifters in the gym, and I'd think to myself like, but you know, whoever the powerlifter was.
Yeah, Chucky did 1,000 pounds yesterday.
Yeah, Chucky was doing triples with these, like they were nothing. This is a speed day for him. Like, fucking throw this up, you know? So like, I just say so, you know, tell myself some kind of irrelevant lie that would just like get my head.
As long as you believe your own shit, you're good to go.
Yeah. It sounds good to you, you know? Yeah, it's just speaking out loud to myself that freaks people out.
Which is weird. I'm more freaked out when the voices stop talking.
Yes. Okay. Was that your question? That was my question.
Okay.
That's your turn, buddy.
All right. So I'm getting hammered on this, so we have to do this. Why is it that Paul Carter thinks that deadlifts and rack deadlifts are not good for training back?
I didn't know Paul Carter was like, was he think they're a leg day thing, or what's the other side of the, like, what's the
I think that's primarily what it is. The reason I get hammered with it is obviously because those are lifts that I do intentionally. It's funny because I get people that try to trap the conversation. I always tag Paul in the answer.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm just from my point of view, maybe he thinks that those exercises. There's some people that think deadlifts and like any deadlift movement is far better put on a leg day or a hamstring day. There's also people that just flat out deadlifts and rack deads don't do a lot for their back. Like it's just like some guys squat and their quads grow and other guys squat and their quads don't grow. There's a certain portion of people that when they like, there's guys out there with crazy deadlifts that don't have hanging lats and thick traps and stuff. There's guys out, you know, I've seen some crazy deadlifters that were just skinny dudes. So, you know, sometimes it's all about leverage and arm length and spine to leg ratio and all that stuff. Right. So, you know, maybe with Paul's own personal experience too, they do nothing for his back. So he's a little bit like more like thinking, oh, man, maybe there's something to this. But I don't know Paul's argument, but I'm just assuming that it might have something to do with that. Maybe he'd rather spend, which is a common argument. You know, if you're going to train back, you should be like moving your scaps and like, a deadlift is you know, you're getting thicker spinal erectors out of that, but there's not a lot of range for everything else and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you're not getting contraction. I think, you know, it's the answer, because I know that I know that people just want there to be an answer. My guess is that Paul speaks in absolutes to get people to think.
Yeah, which is
because when you jam it home like that and you say no, deadlifts are shit, then people think. Because I don't agree at all, but I don't necessarily think that he would come on and tell me no, your deadlifts aren't helping your back. He's not an idiot. what you're looking at is you're not doing a stretch and a contraction like you are if you do a row.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing is people really are looking for an absolute answer, right or wrong. And here's what I tell people is, the muscle when you feel when you're doing an exercise, that's the muscle that's working.
Yeah, most of the time that's
like
that's
don't
a good
like
place to start.
So it's like don't overcomplicate that. If you're doing a deadlift and you're not feeling your back and you're trying to feel your back, then it's not for you. When I do a deadlift and I'm bringing down 750 pounds, I feel when people ask me what muscle is a rack dead for your back, I go, all of it.
Right. I know exactly what you feel. You feel your entire trap, the whole kite-shaped muscle of your trap, and your lats from your armpits to your hips. You feel it all yanking down and out like it's going to yank your arms off your body.
Yeah. And when you're pulling up, you're resisting that. But because it's not a contraction of my elbow pulling back, scapula moving, rhomboid squeezing, trap getting out of the fucking way, it's a different connection. So I definitely see that. So for people that are asking, and I literally, my answer is simple. Ignore me. Ignore Paul. Ignore everyone. Do it. What do you feel? And that's your answer. For you, that's your answer. It's the same thing that we've covered 50 times. Hey, if I do skull crushers, it hurts my elbows. What should I do? Don't do skull crushers. Same thing with back. So yeah, there's no lift you're ever going to find me say in the entire gym, you must do this to grow.
Right. Okay. It's my turn now?
Yes, sir.
I've got a small tear in my shoulder. Any suggestions on supplements that you would add? Questions just wants to know, like, regrowing connective tissue.
It's an actual tear?
Yes.
I mean, I know he said small tear, so I have to reiterate that. When
let's say
torn,
there's a bit of a tear, yeah.
It's torn. I mean, what I would do would be I would go down to my naturopath and I would get injections to fix it. Okay. I mean, it's not cheap, but there are many options that will speed that process up immensely. I also would do it quickly because look at it like a t-shirt. If I were to clip the very top of this just a little bit and then continue wearing it through normal wear and tear, that will pull easier and easier and tear all the way down the front eventually because it started with that little clip.
Yeah.
If I sew that right now, we're done.
Right.
We're back to healthy. So my advice to that person is, number one, go, if it's truly a tear, if you're not sure, get an MRI. Once you have that, if it truly is a tear, then you're not talking about a supplement.
Right.
And I mean, I especially shoulder. When someone says the word shoulder, it's a 360-degree moving joint. Don't fuck with it.
What would you recommend? Like, if you had an injury, like when I blew my quad, I read a whole bunch. I got advice off a few people, including Dante was like a big help. But I started using hydrolyzed collagen, protein, and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, those things are absolute must. I mean, you want to do those when you have an injury. I mean, I'd be throwing those in. I mean, all the way down to, I don't know why, but people have gotten away from, if they have joint issues, glucosamine and CSA. Glucosamine controls.
Always, always take it.
So, if you're taking I would go as high as 1,500 milligrams of glucosamine and chondroitin a day in the beginning. That's going to help with moisture, things like that in the joint. Like you said, the collagen is a must. But if it's a true tear and something that could be an issue, if you invest the money into a good naturopath, it's literally a one and done. It's a $1,000 one and done.
So are you telling them to get like prolotherapy or PRP or something injected in there?
That's what's tricky. Any and all the above. So like I've had to go in and just, it's interesting. I've gotten Prolo before and then thought I was going in for Prolo for something else just to have them say, no, that's not what we want for this. We want this. So you definitely need to make sure you've got a reputable person. But I have found that literally he has fixed things that eventually would have been surgeries.
Right.
And for me, the money, and it's not, don't want to downplay $1,000 is a lot of money no matter who you are. But the amount of time I would lose if that became a real injury is more valuable than the money.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. I've got one here. He's basically asking, like, what's the most budget intra-workout you could possibly make? So he just says, like, creatine, Gatorade powder, salt. What's a good, extremely low budget alternative to taking, like, an EAA carb mix intra-workout if you can't afford it?
Here's the thing, and this is going to be a terrible answer. If you can't afford it, it's not a necessity. And I don't mean that like in a harsh way. I don't take them half the time. And I'll get people to give them to me. Like, it's not that important in the grand scheme. I am a huge believer in salt in my training. Yeah. I'm definitely a big believer in a little bit of carbs. So, I mean, hell, have a regular Kool-Aid, small amount mixed with water because you don't want a shit ton of junk in you, and throw some salt in it. You're good to go.
Yeah, I would say 20 grams of Gatorade powder or Kool-Aid powder. And several grinds of sea salt, and I would definitely, like, if you're looking to at least keep your endurance high and your electrolytes balanced and all that stuff, so you can train long and hard, it really does come down to those two things. Yeah, and I do that in a heartbeat. I remember the days when we were using dextrose.
Yep.
And I just go down the wine aisle.
Yep. Like $2 for a 2-pound thing, and
$2 for 2 pounds of dextrose. Take 30 grams of dextrose, and I remember those days. Everyone was using the cheapest carb powder they could get their hands on, And
for the longest time, that's what we believed is a carb is a carb, which I still somewhat do to a point.
Especially in a deficit. If you're in a deficit, carbs are like very much treated all equally. But in your surplus, I think things start to kind of shift from there. Yeah, good carbs and bad carbs, depending on how much of a surplus you're in.
Yeah, that's the magic, is how far you took that surplus as opposed to go too far. Yeah, make sure. I mean, I really, and that's why I'm cautious with guys, is I'm a minimalist for my clients. Even like, I don't tell my clients you need this intro workout.
No, I'm not. I try to.
If they say, hey, I'm going to do an intro, what do you think? I'm like, okay, then do this. This is your best bet. But I bet the majority of my clients don't do anything intro workout.
Yeah, I give them a real basic intra that I think covers their bases. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I've been very broke as a bodybuilder, and I'm still making great gains.
Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. It's funny. Emily sent me a text the other day. I was like, hey, I'm going to Safeway. Do you need anything? And she just started eating tuna again. Like, she just started eating tuna again for some reason. She likes it. And it's funny because I haven't bought a can of tuna in a long fucking time. But I went down the aisle and I was like, white albacore.
I remember you.
No?
That's the thing, is you have to admit, as much as it's, I remember when I was super broke, I remember that I would choose my protein based on what was on sale. What is the cheapest thing? And I would like math it out. Okay, so when I cook this, how much protein's actually here? Okay, this is the cheapest one. Okay, that's what I'm eating this week.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
And it's like there was something to be said about those times when you got that crazy deal and you're like, I'm gonna spring an extra $20 on this. I don't know what I'm gonna do. How I'm gonna cover that other $20 I just lost, but we're getting extra of this dark meat chicken because it's really cheap today.
We'll figure it out.
Exactly. I can walk to work a couple days. It's fine.
So I got a deep one for you, Dusty.
Oh shit! Here we go. I'm ready.
This could go. Damn, how deep are we now? We're an hour and 51 minutes recording. I don't know. This could be the showstopper. This could
here we go.
This could be the final question if it goes long.
Yes, I would like it.
What's your biggest fear?
Oh, see, this is easy for me, so it's not that deep because I'm a shallow human. My biggest fear is to smell, and you actually know this. You just didn't remember. That is my greatest fear in the world, is to smell bad and not know it. Because I experience these people, and I'm like, no one tells you? What the fuck?
There's got to be someone in your life that's closer than me. This can't fall on me.
Is it going to be, because I'm a dick if I do it, because I don't even know your name, Chuck.
Like, I just happened to see you at the gym. There's like at least 50 other people that should be closer to you than me.
Yes.
No?
And but it truly is, because there's certain things that, and I look at that as a responsibility of your friends. Like if I came down to the lobby after a day at the expo and for some reason we just went, I came down and you looked at me and said, bro, you need to shower before we go. I'd be like, thank you. And I'd run up and I'd shower and I wouldn't think anything of it.
I would too.
Like, I'd be like, sweet, done. It's like if somebody has shit in their teeth. I'm like, hey, you got shit in your teeth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make them talk to 7 other people with this green leaf hanging around their mouth or smelling like shit.
I appreciate people like you, Dusty.
Yeah. So yeah, so I got worked up. As you can see, this is a fear. It's a general, like, it's scary shit.
You weren't even dodging the question with that.
I'm fucking right to it. I don't want to stink, man.
See,
I finished in the gym the other day, and a girl who works at the supplement store here, I came out and was like, oh, hey, how are you? She goes, you smell this good after a workout? And I'm like, yes, I do. Why? Because I'm deathly afraid of the other option.
Right. Okay, well, so
now let's get in the deep end of the pool. Now that we've left the shallow end.
I had a deep philosophical life reflection answer.
And I went with stink.
And then he comes up with, oh, I don't have deodorant. That's my biggest fear. I need a dry shirt and deodorant. That basically solves your problem.
My entire life is fine if I have those two things.
A can of Axe and another T-shirt in my Jeep. Yeah. I would say, so I really feel you on that. I'm more paranoid about bad breath.
Ooh,
so all the feelings you have about smelling, I would reflect those on bad breath. And I'm very like I was like, okay, I'd have a mint. I gotta and if I'm sitting in the back eating and someone's like, oh, Ron, someone wants to talk to you. I'm like, oh, fuck. Drink a bunch of water and have some Diet Coke.
Swishing it around.
Okay. Check my teeth. Okay, good. And I come out of the office and come around like, hey, how's it going? I'm kind of paranoid about that. The whole eating and seeing people thing. I want to eat separate. I don't want to be eating while I'm doing business.
Right. Because
you never know if how you're looking and what your situation is, So, but that's the shallow answer that I'm gonna give.
Because I brought it. We have 9 minutes. I'm like, I need 36 seconds.
We're really gonna connect with people on this deep. I bet people are gonna hear our answers and they're gonna contemplate their own existence.
Hey, no, we're gonna have some Listerine sales. People are gonna stop buying deodorant and go to antiperspirant like they should be doing in the first place.
I know. So here's the deal. My real answer, because I had this ready, and I'm gonna give it to the show because
because it fucking needs you today.
Well, no, it needs it bad. No, I just I had it all ready. I saw this question. I thought, huh.
He went deep. I went with stink.
So,
and when you're done with your answer, my answer will not change. Go.
I was thinking about that conversation that we had the other night on Instagram. We were doing a little chat ski there.
Oh yes.
Midnight. And I think that one of the fears I always had in the back of my head was I was always the type of guy that got along with everybody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I always got along with everybody. I had a couple different groups of friends in high school. I had my main group, and then I had these other. I was friends with a lot of people, and I've always kind of gotten along with everyone. And my whole life, everyone's always told me oh, hey, you're a nice guy. Ron's a nice guy. You hear stuff about yourself Dusty's a fucking prick. You just you learn to accept it.
I accepted that long ago.
But I was always told oh, you're a nice guy. You're easy to deal with. Or you're chill. That sort of thing. So I think that sort of created, as I grew up, that created a bit of a bit of a worry in my head. I was like, fuck, I have to be careful that I don't become someone that everyone likes. And no one respects. And that's always been a fear of mine, is that I'm going to be liked but not respected.
Right.
Because that's something you hear, you hear it, I don't know where you first hear it, but, you might hear an inspirational speech, I never cared about whether they liked me. I just needed to be respected, and you'd hear that sort of thing. And for some reason that got into my head.
Right.
And it's always a fear of mine. So if I ever found myself in a situation where I felt like everyone liked me, I would always start to worry. Fuck, I wonder if they respect me.
Right. Do I have that too?
Yeah, because that was for some reason, I sort of drew you can't have both.
Right, which is wrong, but yeah.
Which is wrong. Yeah, it's wrong. Like, you can have both, but just in my head, there was always that worry, like, oh, fuck, you sure you got both?
Right.
Or you just have one? Because if all these people just like you and think you're a good guy, but they don't respect you, then you're doing something fucking wrong.
Right. I agree. But
so
yeah, I could see how that could jump in your mind, but it's definitely a factor. I think the big key that makes it obvious in anyone's cases, not even just yours specifically, is when people will bring a problem to you of any sort, then you're respected.
Right.
So within the industry, because something as basic as, and I get people that ask me, and I literally will send them to you. Like, they'll say, what is the best leg whatever that I need to have for my gym? I'm like, oh, message wrong. Like, because that is one of those things where, I mean, I can answer, but if you've earned respect in any way, I know that's a very vanilla way,
right?
But those are in our industry, those are the things that matter. You know, same thing as Chris calls me and you and Jose on the regular to talk about a show because he respects your vision of the sport. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I bring a lot of things back to if someone will ask you questions or your opinion.
I guess that's a good way to look at it. That's a good base to sort of come from for that stuff anyways. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people deal with that one.
Oh, yeah. I think so, too.
You know?
Less like me and they just don't give a shit. But, yeah, a lot of people do.
I always found myself, I don't know if it was just kind of how I grew up, but I was always kind of the peacemaker, you know? And I don't know why I felt like that was my job, you know, between different friends or siblings or, you know, whatever it was. I don't know why I took that on when I was younger. But then that I also was like aware, like, oh shit, I'm the peacemaker. I have to make sure that I'm not just like, you know, accidentally just getting along with all these people.
Right.
You have to, you know what I mean?
I think what it is, though, truthfully with you, and I think the reason I'm bringing this up is it's a lot of people, is all kidding aside about not caring. When you have these thoughts, it's because your standard is so high.
Yeah.
So you're probably well above most people's, but I think, and this isn't a bad thing, well, it is, but it isn't, is you always want to make sure you're reaching your standard, but your standard's always moving. Because you want more of yourself, you want more of yourself, you want more of yourself. And that's why if you don't ever meet your standard for a minute, you're like, oh, well,
yeah, and then also
other people see this, you know, because your standard for yourself when you're your type of person is so much higher than anyone else's. Well,
I was just going to think, like, if you would have asked me when I was 26, like, who do you respect? I would be like, Dorian.
Right?
And it's like, oh, anyone else? Like,
who else is there?
You know, so yeah, we live skewed. We live through a skewed lens. This bodybuilding lens that we view the world through is. I
find it's the opposite though, man. Like for me, if someone were to ask now because of the lifestyle I have as a individual, like things I do, when someone asks me who I respect, I'm like, a mom who works a full-time job and somehow finds her way to the gym and raises 2 kids, because my head can't even fathom. Because I have friends that do it and they'll tell me shit and I'm like, how do you fucking do it?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because what we do, in my opinion, is easy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's repetition. I don't all of a sudden have a kid that decided fuck you to school on a Tuesday and stopped doing his homework and I found out a week later.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also find myself kind of like giving that nod, like that respect nod. You know, I see the guys at the gym that work construction all day.
And then come to the gym.
And then they come to the gym and squat 4 plates for reps.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been like walking on a roof for 10 hours or fucking, you know, running wire through you know what I mean? Like they've been doing these labor jobs, working fucking real jobs, you know, they got fucking scars all over their hands and they come into the gym and they fucking get right to work, man. And it's like, fuck, haven't you had enough work? You worked all day. And I have a lot of respect for guys that work those types of jobs and you know, get their training in and don't fucking complain about shit. You know, it's just, I think it's awesome.
Well, that's what I mean is people have the reverse thing. So they look at someone like you, me, and say, man, how do they do it? Because they're so disciplined in that. And I think we all tend to downplay what we do because for us, the other thing seems like it would be really hard.
Yeah.
But in reality, at the end of the day, what it is we all have the battles that we go through, but you know, we chose our path. So to me, it's mindless. It means nothing to eat meals, go to the gym, train. I'm like, you know, because people be like, man, it's really impressive. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean to be a dick, but I'm really confused because it's nothing, you know. So I think that's what it is you get it's you respect the other side because you don't understand how much they're going through, you know.
Yeah.
You're right. If I finish a 10-hour day out in the sun in Arizona, I'm not going to the gym. I'm going home. I'm going home. I'm sitting on a couch and I'm being like, man, that was a fucking brutal day.
If I spend an hour in the Arizona heat, I'm like fucked for the whole day. I'd have heat stroke.
Well, the good news for me is if I had a construction job, they'd fire me. So we're good.
Day one.
He sucks at everything. Fire him.
I know. I got sent home. I don't know what happened.
You got sent home permanently.
I guess it kind of slow today. They just didn't need me.
Every time I came in today, they said they didn't need me. I don't know what that. Am I still getting my money? I don't know what's happening.
Oh, okay. Well, Dusty, that's 2 hours, 3 minutes. I'm not sure what we count how much is going to get chopped off the front of this. We were blabbering, but we went almost 2 hours by ourselves, buddy.
Nice, and I still have a million questions, so I'm going to go ahead and answer these on my Instagram for those who want to know.
I'm going to hit my Instagram up, and I might just hit them all anyways for those that, you know, missed the show or whatever. Just get them out there, and appreciate all the questions we get. I like to ask short notice so that you don't get too many.
Yeah.
You know how if we ask like on Saturday, there's like fuck. By the time Monday morning comes, I'm like, oh my god, what an idiot I am. So I try to ask like late Sunday night.
I asked when I was going to sleep last night.
Yeah.
I was in bed and I was like, oh shit, I got to do that. Yeah. I typed it up. So
like I heard Fuad the other day, like he put up a post like recording Tuesday or something.
Yeah.
And then on the show, he's like, oh, we had 400 questions.
Which I could totally see because I probably have about 100 and it was 10 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know. Okay. Thanks, buddy. Remember, everybody, like, share, comment, ring the bell, subscribe. There you go. Man, they're just piling up on us.
So many things. We're very demanding.
And we're also really glad everyone liked the Hollingshead interview. What an awesome interview that was. The feedback we got was just like spectacular. He's a great guest because he knows that it's his job to like talk, you know.
Yeah.
People are tuning in to hear us equally talk as much as him, you know.
Definitely not.
He laid it out there, man. He gave us some great shit. I loved hearing about, you know, how he kind of handled all the stuff with Luke through the show and the prep and all that. It was really interesting. So, you know, thanks to James for coming on and being a great guest.
All right, man. Till next time.
Remember, everybody, it's just bodybuilding.